Don't worry, Grandma. It's fun to be dead.
Hey guys, welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master. Okay, so we need to talk about Lee Cronin's The Mummy. I know. When you hear The Mummy, you're probably thinking of Brendan Fraser's iconic hair or maybe Tom Cruise running away from some dust clouds. But forget everything you think you know about this franchise because Cronin, the same guy who gave us the nightmare fuel that was Evil Dead Rise, just dropped something way more grounded, way more personal, and honestly, way more terrifying. It released on April 17th. The internet has been absolutely buzzing ever since. It's not just about jump scares and ancient bandages. It's a deep dive into family trauma wrapped in a supernatural possession mystery that leaves a lot of questions on the table by the time the credits roll. So, what actually happened to Katie Cannon? Who or what is the Nasmaranian? And that ending? Yeah, we're gonna break down every single gory detail. Grab a snack, maybe leave the lights on, and let's get into it. The mystery of Katie Cannon. First off, let's talk about the hook that kept us all guessing through the trailers. The disappearance of Katie Cannon. The movie starts with this heavy, suffocating sense of loss. 8 years ago, Katie was just a regular American kid living in Cairo with her parents, Charlie and Larissa. Then, poof, gone. For nearly a decade, she was a ghost. Can you imagine the guilt? The sheer, soul-crushing weight of that. Then, the impossible happens. She's found. But she isn't found in a hospital or a hideout. She's found alive inside an ancient sarcophagus. Talk about a WTF moment. Her parents bring her back to their home in Albuquerque, New Mexico, thinking the nightmare is over. But honestly, the nightmare is just getting its second wind. See, the movie does something really clever. It shows us early on that Katie wasn't just missing. She was being held by this woman credited as the magician. This isn't your pull a rabbit out of a hat kind of magic. This is old world, dark ritual magic. The magician's family were the guardians of this sarcophagus, and it turns out the mummy inside was running out of juice. They needed a new battery, a new host, and poor Katie was the one who fit the bill. What was really wrong with Katie? So Katie gets home, but she's off. Way off. She's chattering her teeth, she's violent, and she's hurting herself. The doctors think it's just extreme PTSD, which makes sense, right? If you were locked in a box for 8 years, you'd be a mess too. But here's the crazy part. Through a mix of testimony from Layla, the magician's daughter, and a terrifying videotape found later, we learn the truth. Katie isn't just traumatized, she's a container. Inside her lives an ancient evil called the Nasmaranian. Now, I love the lore Cronin built here. This isn't just a generic demon. The Nasmaranian is known in folklore as the destroyer of family. Its whole vibe is moving from person to person, possessing them, and forcing them to tear their loved ones apart. It's basically the ultimate homewrecker, but with more black ichor and less dignity. Thousands of years ago, some smart people realized they couldn't kill it, so they trapped it. They performed a ritual that bound the spirit into a living human body, wrapped them up in enchanted cloth, and buried them in a black pyramid. The catch? The body eventually decays. When that happens, the demon starts to leak out. That's what happened in Cairo. The old host was literally falling apart, and the magician's family, who are tasked with this burden generation after generation, needed a fresh body. They chose Katie. They poured the Nasmaranian, which looks like a torrent of black liquid, gross from the old mummy's mouth, into hers. She was never supposed to be found. She was supposed to stay in that box, under the magician's house forever. But then, the Egyptian government decided to flood the valley for a dam project. The family tried to move the box, the plane crashed, and Katie was rescued. But was she? Because the demon was still in there, and it was pissed. The dark purpose of the self-harm. Let's talk about the gore for a second, because this is where Cronin really channels that Evil Dead energy. When Katie is home, she's constantly attacking herself. It's heartbreaking to watch Charlie and Larissa try to stop their daughter from literally clawing at her own skin. In most horror movies, this is just a trope to show how evil the possession is. But in The Mummy, there's a much darker, much more logical reason for it. Remember those protection spells I mentioned? The ones on the cloth? Well, the ritual didn't just wrap Katie in cloth. It fused the spell into her very skin. Her body became the prison walls. Charlie figures this out when Larissa accidentally tears a piece of Katie's skin off while trying to help her. He looks at the skin and sees writing. Ancient, magical text etched into the dermis. So, when Katie is self-mutilating, it isn't Katie doing it. And it isn't just the demon being crazy. The Nasmaranian is literally trying to peel off its prison. It's trying to shed the skin that holds the spell so it can reach its full power. This explains why, as the movie goes on and Katie becomes more scarred and unraveled, the supernatural occurrences get way more intense. By the finale, when she shed most of that binding skin, all hell breaks loose. The mystery of the bug. I've seen a lot of people asking about that scarab scene. You know the one. The magician lures Katie in with candy, then performs a magic trick where a bug crawls out of a nectarine and down Katie's throat. Is it just a creepy visual? Not quite. The bug shows up again 8 years later when Katie is first discovered. When it leaves her body, she finally wakes up screaming. Think of the bug as a supernatural sedative. The Nasmaranian is a lot for a human body to handle, and the bug seems to be a secondary lock on the door. It kept the demon and Katie's consciousness in a state of suspense suspended animation while she was in the sarcophagus. Once that bug was out, the war inside her body officially started. That ending, revenge or a huge mistake? All right, let's get into the meat of it, the ending. The Cannons and Detective Zaki eventually figure out the ritual using the magician's own recordings. They realize the only way to save Katie is to give the Nasmaranian a new home. In a moment of ultimate dad strength, Charlie chooses to take the burden. They perform the ritual, and the demon moves from Katie into Charlie. Katie is saved. She's back to being a normal girl, albeit with some serious physical and mental healing to do. But now, the destroyer of family is sitting inside Charlie. The Cannons keep Charlie in a chest in the basement. They visit him. They talk to him via Morse code. It's dark. It's really dark. But then we get that final scene. Larissa tracks down the magician in her prison cell. She's got Detective Zaki with her and a heavily corrupted Charlie. And they aren't there for a chat. They're there to put the demon into the magician. On one hand, it's the ultimate karma's a beast moment. The magician stole their daughter's life, so now she gets to spend the rest of her life as the cage for the very thing she WORSHIPPED/feared. Plus, she cut out her own daughter Layla's tongue. So yeah, no one is shedding tears for her. But, and this is a big but, is this actually a good idea? Are the Cannons making things worse? The magician knows magic. Her family has been doing this for centuries. By putting the Nasmaranian into someone who actually understands the occult, are the Cannons accidentally creating a supervillain? And think about the safeguards. The magician's family had a black pyramid, a heavy sarcophagus, and a lineage of guardians. The Cannons have a basement and a wooden chest. It leaves the door wide open for a sequel, where the magician finds a way to use the Nasmaranian's power rather than just being its prison. Why? This isn't your typical horror movie. So, why does any of this matter? Why is this movie sticking with people so much more than the 2017 Mummy? It's because Lee Cronin used the supernatural to talk about something very real, trauma and guilt. Before Katie is found, we see the wreckage of the Cannon family. Larissa is stuck in the past, keeping Katie's room like a shrine. Charlie is drowning in what-ifs, feeling like he failed as a protector. Their son Sebastian is basically the forgotten child, living in the shadow of a sister he barely remembers. When Katie comes back, it doesn't fix everything. It actually makes the cracks wider. Larissa blames Charlie. Charlie blames himself. The Nasmaranian, the destroyer of family, doesn't even have to do much at first. It just uses the resentment that was already there. The ending is powerful because it's about sacrifice and forgiveness. Charlie taking the demon is his way of finally saving his daughter. Larissa taking revenge on the magician is her way of closing the loop so she can finally look at her husband and kids without seeing the ghost of those 8 years. It's a happy ending in the sense that the kids are playing together in the yard at the end, but it's a horror movie happy ending. It cost them their father's humanity, and they've basically become magical jailers themselves. Our nerdy thoughts. So, what did you guys think? Was Larissa right to force the demon into the magician, or did she just start a whole new cycle of horror? And honestly, how much did that skin-peeling scene make you squirm? Because I'm still not over it. Lee Cronin really managed to take a dusty old trope and make it feel visceral, modern, and deeply emotional. If this is where the new Mummy is going, I am 100% here for it. Before you go, do me a huge favor. Hit that like button if this helped you make sense of the ending, and subscribe if you want more deep dives into the latest horror and sci-fi. It really helps the channel out. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and maybe check your nectarines for scarabs before you take a bite. See ya in the next one.
Begin.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.